Hey guys, it's Hugo at Orchestra. Today we're going to be showing you something super cool, which is stitching together AWS SageMaker with a sort of modern data cloud stack. And yeah, let's dive in. So I guess first thing to think about is what is SageMaker. So SageMaker is AWS's managed deployment service for machine learning and LLM models. So with SageMaker, what you would do is you would essentially define a set of steps, commonly in something like Python, where you're extracting data from somewhere, doing a bit of feature prep, and then using that data to train a machine learning model or fine tune an LLM. From the infrastructure perspective, you would then either put that as a notebook in SageMaker, or you would put it as a Python file and an entry point in a Docker file, and then you'd upload that to Elastic Container Registry in AWS, and then sort of push that. So, for example, here I can see I've got a number of repositories for SageMaker, and these are essentially images that have a Python file in them that says how I want to extract my data and how I want to do my training. As you can see, I then also have this AWS SageMaker training job, which is the thing that we're going to try and kick off from Orchestra. So let's take a look at how we do that now. So in this pipeline, I've got a couple of things going on here. So obviously, in Orchestra, you can trigger and monitor jobs in the data stack to ingest and move data. Here, I'm going to assume that data is already in our data warehouse, which is Snowflake. The first thing I'm going to do is trigger dbt Cloud to transform some of that data. And in the context of this, this could be a data scientist who's doing some feature engineering. It's super simple, right? You just put in the job ID. The next thing we might want to do is check that the aggregated data sort of conforms to the data quality that's required for the AWS SageMaker job. So here, for example, I'm going to just run a query that's going to select all the sort of rows where a feature is null, right? And it should return 0 rows. And now for the good bit. So what we've got in AWS is a SageMaker training job. So in Orchestra, you can trigger that. All you have to do is put in the prefix for the training job and then add in the parameters. And AWS obviously give you a lot of parameters you can use to add, because there are many ways you can sort of train, essentially parameterize this container. But you just sort of pass that in as a JSON here, making sure that you can interact with AWS via the API first. Now, something I've done here is actually output some of these results from the model training to Snowflake. And this is super powerful because it means that I can actually evaluate the model before I deploy it using conditionality. So if I remove this, all I'm going to do is I'm going to say select star from SageMaker models where accuracy is greater than 0.9, limit 1. And because this table that I'm writing to SageMaker models is it is ordered by date. By limiting 1, I know that I'm only going to fetch the latest model. And I've also ticked off this treat failure as warning. And what that means is if this test fails, this is actually going to go into a warning state. And then the pipeline will also go into a warning state, which means that you won't get an alert, which is helpful because nothing's actually gone wrong here, right? It's like we just want to evaluate to see if the model that we've trained is sufficiently accurate before we do anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The next thing, of course, is to deploy the model, right? But we only want to do this if this is in a succeeded state, not in a warning state. So to do that, we can go ahead and play here. So if you press this branching icon, you come to the run conditions or the branching settings. And here we can see that as long as the previous task ends in a successful or a warning state, we're going to end up deploying that model to a new endpoint. We might not want to do that. You might only want to do it if the sort of previous thing succeeds. So to do that, that's how you would do it. And as you can see, we've got a little icon here that's saying this is only going to work if all tasks succeeded. If you wanted to perhaps do something else, maybe run another sort of Snowflake query or maybe deploy it in another way, you could do that here as well. So maybe if the thing fails, you want to run some query when model fails, some query, and then to amend that, you go here, press any failure, and now you see. So this is what's going to happen on success. This is what's going to happen if something fails. But then if nothing happens, you're still not going to get all the errors. So we can go ahead and save and publish that. I'm just going to publish because I can. And yeah, so at the moment, I've got a setting that's going to warn me if anything here fails. This is pretty cool because it means that in the event that this sort of model evaluation mode enters into a warning state, I'm actually not going to get alerted. Everything's just going to crack on. But yeah, that's how you can use AWS SageMaker in an end-to-end data pipeline with branching to make sure that you only deploy models automatically when certain conditions are met. If you like this, please give us a thumbs up. Let us know what you thought in the comments. And yeah, if you want to try Orchestra, also see below. Cheers, everyone.